I've set myself the challenge to earn £50,000 of side hustle income in order that I can move house and give my kiddos a bedroom of their own each. I consider that I actually have like a pretty decent job as a lawyer. I work 4 long days a week. I have 3 kids aged 7, 5 and 3. I don't want to take on any more hours at work in my day job or go to work 5 days a week because I already feel like, time is definitely swayed in favour of the hours that I'm at work compared to the time that I have with the children. So I want to be able to do stuff which is going to give me the ability to get some time back with the kids while still making enough cash to give us a bit more freedom, really. I don't want money for the sake of having money. I want money to be able to have more freedom, more time with each other and do more of the things that we want to do. So I am trying to use all of the skills that I have to build up as many side hustles as possible and generate as much income as possible. So why set myself a challenge of earning £50,000 in side hustle income when so far this year in 2025, I have earned just under, I think, £4,000 of side hustle income. And saying that, if you'd have asked me a couple of years ago if I thought I could make an extra £4,000 in side hustle income in a year, I'd have been really impressed by that. We are now at the start of November, and my side hustling game has not been strong so far this year. It's definitely not been a focus of mine, but at the tail end of summer, I decided that I would have a go at TikTok Shop Affiliate. I've been watching videos of other people talking about it for such a long period of time. And I think that this is so common, like so many of us, like you watch and you listen and you think, maybe I could do that, maybe I could do that. But you're not quite brave enough to take that step, take that leap, as you just ponder it for far too long. And having pondered it for far too long, in August, I decided to make a few videos just to see if it was possible to make any money as a TikTok Shop affiliate. So I already had the number of followers on TikTok that I could apply to become a TikTok Shop affiliate. I had an account basically that I wasn't posting to for ages, but it was about 1,500 followers on there. So I applied to be a TikTok Shop affiliate, was accepted, made a few videos, made £5.04 in the month of August. This is just a few videos, but it just made me think, so, maybe I could do this. My stepdad actually passed away in August. So I'd made a few videos. My stepdad became very, very poorly. He passed away. And obviously then that all went out the window. And I was like, family, spending that time in hospital with him, spending time with my mum, funeral arrangements, all of that horrible stuff. And then I decided that, and partly maybe just a distraction. I was like, you know what, let's go all in September and post TikTok Shop videos every single day in September. So I did that. I started out posting a few, built up as the month went on, and I made just under £180 in the month of September. Or I say that, it was estimated commission. So you don't get paid out until like the following month, but I had an estimated commission in September of £180. I was paid out though £275 in TikTok Shop rewards in the month of September. So all of this was just like, wow, like mind-blowing for me. Continued up the amount of videos in October and had an estimated commission for October of £1,000. So on the back of that, I thought, why the hell not really go for it? Add in some other side hustles as we go along, try and build on the ones that I have and see if I can get myself to a figure of £50,000. I've come up with a figure of £50,000 because that is what I reckon-ish I need to earn before tax in order to have a bit of an additional deposit for a house, for stamp duty, estate agents fees, solicitors fees, moving costs, all of that fun stuff that comes with moving house. And that is what I reckon I need to make the next step up on the property ladder. So I haven't set myself a timescale for doing this. And there's a good reason for that. I debated setting a timescale. Do I say I have to do it in a year or 2 years? Because in an ideal world, I'd like to be thinking about moving house in a maximum of 2 years' time. Less if that is possible. But I can control the amount of effort that I put into side hustles. I cannot control the length of time it takes to accumulate £50,000. And I also don't want to base £50,000 on what I'm achieving right now, and say, for example, how long is it going to take me earning an estimated £1,000 a month, because I want to be scaling these side hustles. I'm not expecting to be making like £5,000 a month immediately. I want to be scaling month upon month upon month and building that pot up. So I can control what effort I put in, and to that degree, I aim to do something every single day towards building my side hustle pot, and that is what I can control. So if you are thinking about a side hustle, how do you go about deciding what kind of side hustle, in order, what do you start with, what ones do you build in? What side hustle is for you. So I'm going to show you, we're going to go through a process right now as I start to think about what additional side hustles I'll be building in over the coming months. We're going to do that together so that you can start thinking about what side hustles you might want to think about building into your own life. I think my biggest tip, the thing that I have learned along these, the process of side hustling, has been to just start something. I spent a lot of time thinking about various things I would do, not just side hustle wise, but hobby wise, any kind of passion I've debated for like far too long. Starting a YouTube channel is a really great example of that. I've wanted to start a YouTube channel since I had my firstborn, who is coming up for 7.5 now. So when I had him, that's when I really discovered YouTube. I was watching YouTube and I was thinking, this is really cool. I'd really like to share on YouTube, but I didn't feel confident enough. I did it on it for so long. Eventually starting my channel nearly 4 years ago now, and I've loved it ever since. I didn't monetize my YouTube channel for 3 years. I was posting, it was very much a hobby channel, loved it. And monetizing wasn't a goal that I set out with, but it was something I wanted to achieve. So I think it would be totally disingenuous of me to say that I wasn't bothered about monetizing my YouTube channel, because that is not true. I wanted to monetize my YouTube channel. I thought it would be really cool if I could make money out of something that I really enjoyed. But it is fair to say that it has been very slow, and part of that is because I have not been consistent. So if you start something, you want to start something, just start it and then be consistent. Those are the two biggest pieces of advice I could give to you and to myself, is being consistent. And so let's go and see what side hustles I might think about cracking on with over the coming months, and what you could think about for yourself, drawing on your own skills. Right, so we're gonna get the biggest piece of paper that we have in the house, which for me is the IKEA roll. Put some paperweights on here. And then, taking the kids' felt tip pens, I've obviously hidden the best ones, because this is all I could find. We are going to write our name in the middle. And then we're going to have a think about things that make up us. So for me, we've got a job as a lawyer, we've got a mum, to these 3 people here, and then we have kind of some hobbies, maybe some things that we enjoy doing. We've got YouTube, and I think under there I'm going to put TikTok and kind of content creation under there. And then I would say, if there's other stuff that I enjoy, I do really like baking and cooking, and then I love arts. That says arts, trust me. Crafts, and just like being, I'll put it here, being creative. Okay, so we've got our kind of map in terms of like who we are as a person. And then we're going to think about this. So I've already started some side hustles around here. Let's assume that you haven't started any side hustles. Then we're going to start here. Do you have a job, or did you have a job where you had some skills? So I cannot do any legal work outside of my job as a lawyer without it being seen as competitive to my firm. But also, I wouldn't want to. I enjoy my job, love my job, but I don't want to do more of it. So I want to do stuff that's like outside of what I do as a lawyer, but that doesn't mean that there aren't skills that I've developed as a lawyer that I could monetize. So in my role as a lawyer, because I'm not a case handling lawyer anymore, I do other stuff, I do a lot of professional writing. So as a professional writer, I could do some copywriting for other businesses. So I wouldn't do legal copywriting because, again, that would be a bit too close to being competitive in my business. But this is something I could do. So what else could I do? I do a lot of professional speaking. So I could think about taking on maybe speaking opportunities. I think technically, again, that might be something which is seen as a bit competitive. However, I'm going to circle copywriting as a real option here. This is something, doesn't have to be something we want to start right away, but this is something I could do. And part of this exercise is just getting us to think about the fact that there is more that we can do if we, think outside of the box. Because I think so often, especially if you're, as a woman, as a mum, you think you haven't got that many skills, right? So as a mum of keeping 3 small children alive, we can talk, we could think about some of those skills, and maybe, let's seriously, if we're putting down everything, right? Babysitting, I could do that. I could look after other small children because I know I can manage my own small children. But if you are a parent and you have experience of looking after kids, that is a skill, right? But then also, if you were interested in like content creation, you've got experience around being a parent that you could kind of join those things up, and you could over here create content about motherhood. Okay. Similarly, as we could, if we were interested in creating content around legal stuff, and I could comment on stuff that's happening in the legal world, except that doesn't interest me so much. But there we go. Arts and crafts. I could create art and sell it on like a Facebook marketplace or something like that. So these are, as we're sort of identifying side hustles that we could do, I'm going to circle those. We could start up a channel and create content about motherhood and think about monetizing that. Over here, is there stuff that I can do which feeds into the world of content creation? So I could maybe think about UGC, user-generated content. I could look into doing something like that. And then over here, we've got just sort of generally being creative. What could we do over here? I'm going to come back to that. I haven't got any immediate thoughts. So we're working on this literally, like this is, I'm as you can't tell, I'm doing this with you in real time. Baking, cooking, I like baking. I could make cakes and sell them locally. Okay, something I love, something I think I'm pretty good at, something I could do in my spare time, and just generally being creative. I could do some creative courses on locally. I feel like that is quite wishy-washy. That's quite wishy-washy. Just so is, I suppose, being creative. Here's a lesson for us. Don't be vague in your skill areas. So I could create art. I could sell that on Facebook Marketplace. I've seen people do that online. We could start more channels, but we could just do more content creation, right? We could just plus what we're doing on TikTok and do a bit more on YouTube as well. That is always an option. UGC and copywriting and selling cakes. I'm going to say that's what I'm kind of more drawn to over here. So anything that you think sounds quite interesting, we are just going to underline those. And then I think even creating art, that's quite interesting. Another thing actually that I thought of when it comes to being creative, that I had, I've lost my pen lid. Another thing that I'm thinking of that is connected to being creative, something that I had thought about before, is an Etsy shop. I actually started out an Etsy shop and then I did nothing with it. But that interests me because I could make my own art designs to go on things like t-shirts and posters and whatnot. So I could do that. And under here, that's something I could think about. I could link these sort of up and I could create art and I could sell it on my own shop here. In terms of being creative, I also love writing. So writing, I could write my own ebook on something. I could Amazon KDP, is it called? Print on demand. What is that? Print on demand. No, I don't know what's like. Is that right? That rings a bell. Anyway, ebook of some description is also quite interesting here, and I'm just ignoring all my own colour coding. Look. There we go. So you can see as you go along and you're mapping things out, you'll start to think about other things that are available to you. So as you can see, as we have gone around, I've managed to come up with quite a bit here in terms of my skills. So we've got our core areas of our kind of person, of our character here. And then out of here, I've come up with copywriting, babysitting, creating art, selling it locally on Facebook Marketplace, UGC work, ebooks, Etsy shops where I could maybe sell my own art on print on demand kind of things, baking, make some cakes and sell them locally. Or maybe I could make an Etsy shop and sell cakes. Maybe I could start up my own TikTok shop and sell my cakes. That's a great idea, actually. But you know, as you go and you start to think about things, like I have literally never thought about selling my own cakes on TikTok, but how cool would that be? Like, that is really interesting to me. So as we start to go through this kind of like mapping out, like you'll just find inspiration. You'll start to think about skill areas, things that you could do, just like really challenge yourself, thinking about you and just like pushing yourself out all the different strands and the things that you're interested in, and then what you could maybe do as a result of that. You don't have to be perfect at any of these things, right? Because we're going to be learning as we go. We're going to be starting scrappy and learning as we go. You don't have to be the world's best copywriter to start copywriting. You just have to start. So for now, I'm going to be channeling my energy into YouTube and TikTok shop affiliate. So we've got TikTok down there, and that's TikTok shop affiliate. And then I'm going to start mapping out some of these other things, like how easy or hard is it to do some of these things that we are interested in, and what might that mean? So over here, we're just going to take some of these examples that I am most interested in, okay? And let's say, starting out a TikTok cake shop. Oh. UGC, copywriting, and Etsy art. Okay, so TikTok cake shop. I've got to, presumably, I'm going to need to have some food hygiene requirements I'm gonna have to get for my house where I'll be making the cakes. And then I've got an issue with my house as it's a bit small in terms of storage of stuff I need, ingredients, time, consistency, and you start to sort of think, okay, well that's a really good idea, but this is quite hard. I'm going to say, in terms of ease, if 10 was like the easiest and 0 was really hard, I'm going to put this at like a 4 to a 5 out of 10, okay? It's not so easy. UGC, so user-generated content. I'm going to need a portfolio. I'm going to need to create some example work. But I've got all the kit, so I can tick that. I've got everything I need, mic, lights, all of that stuff. And I've also got experience in making videos. So I do need to spend some time, but I would say this is a 7 or maybe even an 8 out of 10 in terms of ease. Now, copywriting, we've actually got very similar here. I need a portfolio. Examples though, I could probably link stuff that I've done at work that is online, like, and is out there in the public domain. And then like kit, insofar as I need it, laptop, check. I'm gonna say copywriting is an 8 out of 10. Etsy. I started trying this before and actually coming up with the designs takes a lot of time, and then uploading them. Once you've got the designs all done, it becomes easier though. So there's initially a lot of work and then it gets easier. And it's going to take, I think, a lot longer because I tried that and I struggled. So I'm going to say that's a 6 out of 10. So you see now we've got, out of the things I'm interested in and we've whittled down, we have got some rankings. So copywriting is probably going to be the easiest thing. Two, we have got UGC. 3, we've got Etsy art. And then 4, the TikTok bakery. And because there's not much in it, I think, between the copywriting and the UGC, I feel like I've got to choose something over here for the next side hustle that I start. Hopefully that has given you some ideas. It's definitely given me some ideas of things that I can try going forward. One of the other things that I think I'm not counting as like a permanent side hustle is Vinted, selling stuff that I have in my own home. Because if you've followed my channel for a while, you know I've been constantly decluttering and I have a big bag of stuff over there that is waiting for me to put it on Vinted. So doing stuff like that alongside, like little side quest hustles as we go, and then having like some proper solid, like almost side businesses is what I'm aiming to achieve. So that is what I'm going to be concentrating on over the coming months. I hope that this gave you a bit of inspiration. Again, just to reiterate, I think the most important thing is picking something, starting it, being consistent, like not giving up after a week or a month, but setting yourself a period of time with which you are like, this is going to be a bit of a trial. I'm going to do this. I'm going to show up every day, put some energy into it. And then, you know, if after 3 months, 6 months, whatever that is, I've not seen the results I want to, at that point I can reconsider, but not before then. And I think that's really important that you do that. Set yourself that goal and don't give up. I honestly, and anything that I've really wanted to achieve, when I've got to that point where I'm like, right, I'm just gonna see if I put my all in, can I do it? That has always been the time when inevitably things have started to work out. whether that's with YouTube, whether that's with TikTok Shop Affiliate. It's like, okay, if I show up every single day and I just keep doing this, what will happen? Great things, as it turns out. So that is what I'm very much hoping for me and for you, is that we work out, we just keep showing up. At some point, something clicks, great things happen. I will see you in the next one.